Okay, hi everyone. It is the 23rd of July, and I'm going to share with you today some very strange World Fair photographs. I haven't stopped taking a look at the World Fair, even though I'm, going into a lot of other exit the cave material, but the fairs, for some reason, just keep my focus. And every once in a while, I bump into something, and this came from a discussion that came on my locals channel. I put something up on the fairs there, and I'll get to some of the comments that this person made about some World Fair photographs, and it's making me look at some photos, and I'm hoping you guys will then go and look at even more. First of all, as a short update before we get there, so what I'm going to be doing now, as you probably noticed, there's no comments for this video, and the reason I'm doing that is I want to make more of the material available here on the free platforms, be it here, Rumble, BitChute, whatever. But what I'm going to do now is, because it's a work in progress, it's a work in progress of figuring out how to share this material with people and not make it a problem just to make videos, which is how it was starting to feel back in February and March when I just kind of stopped for a while. So locals in itself, the subscriber part is going to be now a focus on community and discussions and conversations and gatherings, and that's really what that's going to be for. The membership part of locals will be where I'm going to post all of the interviews, all of the videos that I do early, and they'll stay there for about a week or two, and then I'll bring those videos, because I think everything should be available for people. In one sense, the information should be available, but I just don't want to get caught up in the, let's call it the drama of the interaction around the video. I just want to make the material available. You can use it if you make use of it in your life, great. If you find some way for it to be of value in your life, great. Otherwise, the conversation, the interaction and community, I want that to be over a little more controlled at local. So I will still put the stuff out a week or two later. So if you do feel like signing up over there, you'll get the videos early. And if not, they'll come out here just without comments. And I'm going to let that run for a while. Everything's a work in progress. I've got a new website as well coming out during the week. Soon when you go to my old website, it'll just redirect you to the new one. It was just time for an upgrade, and so it was just time for that. Anyway, that's a short update on where we are and where we're going. So in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'll start moving some of the material that was on the free section of locals over to places like this where you're watching now. And yeah, the new history book should be ready September the 1st. It's on sports origins, and it's going to be what I thought was going to be a very calm book is turning out to be quite controversial. No surprise. That'll be ready in September, and I'm working on the new Exit the Cave Book 2, which I talked about. And I will come out with maybe 120 page book sometime hopefully by the end of November. That's the time frame for that. All right, the World Fair photos. Let's get into this. So this started out first with a comment that had been made about the 1926 Philadelphia Exposition. And I didn't know about a 1926 Philadelphia Exposition. And the person who was making the comment was confusing it with the one in 1876. But this was supposed to be a 150th anniversary of, who has a 150-year anniversary? 150-year anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So they had this fair in Philadelphia, which is really, really strange. First of all, like I say, I didn't know about it. I thought the first fairs were happening in the 1930s after the First World War. But now all of a sudden there's supposed to have been one in Paris in 1925 that was all about the focus of the new Art Deco movement. Then you had this one in Philadelphia, which included the building of Philadelphia Stadium, which became JFK Stadium. And otherwise, it was a very uneventful fair. They made a giant Liberty Bell that you could drive under. The reason I'm bringing this fair up, first of all, is because it's like, how does anyone not really know about it? But secondly, is that there are so few photographs from this exposition. Oh, by the way, the exposition was set up. It had to start on the day that the Shriners Convention was happening in Philadelphia. They wanted to wait another month or two to keep supposedly building more of it, but they needed it to be at the exact moment the Shriners Convention was happening in Philadelphia. So, no ritual needs and dates going on there. But anyway, so when you look at if you put in 1926 Philadelphia Exposition, you're going to find almost no photographs. There's some photographs of this giant Liberty Bell, but those look strange, actually. You can look at 2 or 3 different photos, and there's like Photoshop elements in all the images. Of the fair itself, it's mostly postcards or drawings, and it's 1926. This is now the beginning of the huge advent of photography. Even motion pictures are coming in. In 1915, we had lots of video footage of the San Francisco Fair. Right, we had movie stars going, and there was all of this movie footage, and we don't even get photographs from 1926. We have almost none. So that was a question mark. So from that and some other comments in this section, I went back to look at the photos of the Columbian Exposition. And first of all, I want to say thank you to the YouTube channel Square Peg. Square Peg had claimed to have they did have an 1893 map of the Columbian Exposition, and they had been looking for someone to have it, and they asked around looking, and I guess she got a hold of me recently and asked would I like to have this map, and I was like, this would be great. I would love to have this map. So I just wanted to say thank you to her and her channel. Square Peg Divergent is the name, and in a week or so, or a few weeks, I'm going to get a very interesting original 1893 Chicago Exposition map, which I'm going to frame and put on my wall, and it's going to be a great little addition to my work. Okay, finally, photographs. So I'm just going to put them in, layer them over top of the video. So here's the first one. And again, the reason I'm showing you this is because there's problems with all of these photographs. This is the first one you're seeing. This is, in some ways, this is like the most ungenuine of a photograph you can imagine. First, just take a look at it yourself. I'm not going to say anything. Just look at it originally. The first place to go looking at is the kid in the front. And I'll show you here now a quick little zoom in of the kid. And you can see that the kid is quite obviously pasted in or painted in. That's a painting. And I urge you to go find most of these photographs will be from something called Project Gutenberg, not this one. I'll tell you when the Project Gutenberg start. But Project Gutenberg, just put in Project Gutenberg, Columbia Exposition, and it will be an entire book. The photos, you'll find the photos that I'm using, and they are high resolution. You can zoom in really, really close. And I recommend you go look at a lot of these photographs yourself because there's a lot of questions to be asked here. The first 2 photos I'm going to show you, though, are just off the web. If you just do Columbia Exposition, you'll find these photos. They'll come up. So you can look at them more closely. But you can see from the close-up, the kid is painted in. So the kid is painted in. And if you look closely at the supposed people in the background there, if you look closely, they also appear painted in. Like all of the people in this image are painted in. So, and this is something you're going to see in a lot of these photographs is that this is supposed to be an exposition with millions of people attending. In almost all the photographs, there's almost never anyone there. Every once in a while, they have what they call the opening of the fair, and you see a whole bunch of people. I remember there's a photograph of the when they had the official opening in 1892. On the date it was supposed to open in the manufacturer's building, there was like 100,000 people in there. It looked like 100,000 people in the building. But in so many of the photographs, there's nobody. There's like 5 people walking around. You're going to see this. And they took it first thing in the morning, but still, if it's first thing in the morning and the gates are open, there'll be some people there. That's natural. So it's really, really strange. So first of all, we've got that they've had to paint in people in this image. Why do they need to have people in the photo at all? Why not just have the photo itself? And if you do need full people in the photo, there should be millions of people at the exposition. Just go ask 5 of them to come and just stand here while I take a picture, So that's really weird. The next thing that's weird as you look at is the flags on the building in the background. If you'll notice, the flags are blowing in three different directions. So you've got the three flags in the back blowing to the left. You've got the flags in the front of the building blowing towards the top. And I think for some reason, I think I cut off the top of the image. Oh, I looked at the original, and the original image is cut off, which doesn't make any sense as to why they would cut off which should be the top of the flag of that building which also is a bit odd. It's not really. It should be. I think I'll have another image of it eventually coming up, and it has a very different. It has a very different structure. It looks a little bit tightened, as if the image has been squeezed in a bit. But the flags are, we're seeing different directions of wind in the same location. And you're going to see this a lot. You're going to see the flags blowing in completely different directions constantly in the photographs. As we go to the second photograph, I chose this one again. Oh, this one I chose again for the flags. So notice you've got flags on one side blowing one direction. In fact, they're blowing two directions. One is blowing to the right. Another one to the far right. Well, they're blowing like straight away from us, and the ones on the left are kind of blowing on an angle to the left. The boats in the initial image here. If you zoom in on the image and you look at the boats also particularly the one on the right, it just doesn't seem like it's actually a photograph. There's just elements of it that seem quite strange based on the shadows, but that's not as good as a boat that's coming up. We're going to see a very strange boat. And again, look at the number of people. Very few. And I know not every day and every moment of time a thing will be full, but it's again just odd for an event that's supposed to be millions of people going to, jam-packed every day. And another thing to keep track of, all of these photographs, again, you notice this, and this is very standard for these images of this time period, of the buildings of this time period, is the whitewashed sky, what we call the vanilla sky, as if like you've just taken white out and you've whited out a sky does not look like that. I'm sorry, that's not the sky, right? We know that is generally, and you'll see this in every single photograph. Like, how can one photograph have not been magically taken on a nice sunny day? They were all like, every photograph was taken at the same day at the same time. That they're obscuring something in the background. Well, what don't they want? What is the background they don't want you to see? In some of the photos, as you go through, you'll see these a lot in a lot of the early photos of like state capitol buildings in the United States. You'll notice this very weird, this whiting out of the sky. But it's so obvious that it's been done. Like, you'll see it's like some of it will actually go over top of one of the buildings, or like, it's like when you're using paint and you're using that Microsoft Paint image thing, and you accidentally move the eraser tool a little bit too much over something and forget to make the change, and you see this little streak of erasement that shouldn't be there. A lot of those photos are like that. At least this one is a much higher quality, but it's a question mark. It's a serious question mark. Here's the third one. Now, the reason I brought this one up is you have to go to the original. You'll see it's called the peristyle. I can't remember what the number is. It might be 4 or something in the listing chart of the actual screenshot of what it is. They all have a number. Plate 12. And I'm bringing this up because if you zoom in on what looks like the young boy to the right, first of all, the shading is off when you're trying to figure out, well, where is the sun in this image? Where should the shadows be? Why is the front of the boy so much in shadow? If that's the case, then the sun should be, behind the boy, and we should be seeing shadows coming towards us, and we're not seeing that at all. So that's a very strange photograph. Now, here's one that's quite famous. This is the one that leads the main page also of the Wikipedia page on Columbian Exposition. Is plate 17, as you see. Again, there's trying to figure out the time of day is a problem based on the shadowing. At least the flags in most cases are moving the same direction. So at least, okay, that's something. They're at least all moving in the right direction this time. But it's the boat at the bottom of this image. And I'll give you again a zoom in. Do you notice when you look at that, like the top of the boat seems to just also be the water? It's like the top of the boat does not actually there's no it's not blocking the water. The water is seen right through the boat. There is no roof. It's just like an outer image of and even there's no back. Like you see, there should be a back to that boat roof. Again, this indicates to me some sort of cut and paste kind of thing. Why would you need to cut and paste a boat into the image? These are the things that are getting me to ask some really deep questions about everything going on with these expositions. And I guarantee that if you start digging into the photographs, if we start looking at the photographs in this manner, like really close, like going in and start examining them deeply with clear eyes, with just, I'm not expecting anything. I'm just going to see what the photograph tells me. I'm sure we're going to find more and more and more anomalies like this. I'm not saying what it means at this point, but I'm saying it's very, very bizarre. Here's plate 22. And I remember this one way back when I first did my research, the Palace of Mechanical Arts. It's an obvious painting. And you can tell by the people as they on the walkway here that that's painted in. This is an obvious painting, but it's being presented as if it's a photograph. And you get a lot of this as well or you'll notice you'll have partial photographs and partial paintings put together. Again, very, very strange for why would you need to make a painting and pretend that it's a photograph when you could just say, here's some paintings of the Columbian Exposition. This one I've chosen, this is plate 75. It says Government Buildings, Sweden, Haiti, and New South Wales. Partially because it's an interesting look of some of the things in the sort of, the country area. But it's a group of people in the front. And I want you to notice that first of all, the gentleman right in the front has been like kind of covered over, like there's been like a white streak placed over his face so you can't really see him. The next people behind them are very dark, and I'm almost sure they're African Americans. Almost sure they're three African Americans walking around. But if you notice, and you have to see the original photograph to get this, the woman behind the guy that I mentioned that's whited out, who has he's almost looks like he's got it's not a tuxedo, but that's how you would recognize who I'm talking about. There's a woman right behind him. And the woman's face is clear. Like the woman's face is absolutely, you can zoom in on it. It's like crystal clear. And then you've got his face, which is obscured. You've got which I'm sure African American. And you notice there's a few more African Americans in the background. I mention this because one of the things that the fair was claimed to be was two. One was that so many articles came out talking about how this being called the White City was not just meant for the buildings. It was meant as a description of not wanting ethnicity at the fair, and that people of color were not given even jobs. And it took quite a bit of time to even open some congresses and to open some things and to open some African American art and things to be included in the fair. So it's odd just to get a number in one photograph, and that the fair is expensive. It's not cheap to come to the World's Fair. So it's interesting because it goes against the standard story that I had heard, that here we have obviously a number of African American people at the World Fair. Next one, this is plate 83. It's the moving sidewalk. One of the things that have been, technically like an electrical moving sidewalk in 1893, first of all. But if you look closely at it, there's like nobody on it. One. Two, it's like, why would you go on this moving walkway anyway? It's taking you from, I don't know what this point is, but it's just taking you down the pier to the end to look at the water, and then it would just take you back. So the first thing would be, why would you even build this? Because the point of a moving walkway is to save you time going somewhere on in the airport. If there was a moving circular walkway in the airport that just took you back right to where you started from, well, you're never going to go on it. You need to get to your gate, or you need to go get your luggage, or you need to, get to your car and go home. You don't just go around in a circle for no reason, when here you could literally just walk. You could take like 30 steps and walk to one of these side railings and look out at the lake. That's Lake Michigan, right? You could just go and look at the lake. So first of all, they build it, and of course there's nobody on it. There's nobody going on this thing. For why would they? And even then, as you zoom in on the photograph, it again, just there's things about it that seems a bit just odd. And I'm just going to leave these up there for people to think about. Here's another one. This is called the World Congress of Beauty on the Midway, plate 92. And again, we've got, in this case, while the flags most of them are blowing in the same direction. A couple of them aren't. You can see a couple of them are actually blowing straight away from you. One is actually blowing away into the right, but most are blowing the same direction, but they look drawn in. First of all, they don't look like real flags. They look very much like drawn, and somewhat poorly drawn flags, actually. And I wonder too about so many other things in the build and in this photograph. How much else is a real photograph and how much else is drawn in? I'm bringing this up. By the way, again, here's a good one here. This is the Court of Honor, 115. Where's the people? There's almost nobody. This is one of the key elements of the fair, right? I mean, the manufacturer's building is just off to your left there. So that's the highlight building of the fair, the giant building of the fair. And why is nobody around it? It should be it was big enough to hold 300,000 people and had like massive exhibits. I just took a second. I had to check to make sure that is the manufacturer's building, and that is the manufacturer's building. So that's the largest building at the exposition, and there's nobody there. Granted, there's almost nobody anywhere. And if you look at the shadows a bit, because the shadows can give you an idea of the time of day. You've got all of the shadows seemingly moving towards the left. Now, I think in this image, they're all going left, so the sun should be to our right. To the right, if my directions are correct, the right should be, that should be south. Am I not? Because the south should be, north should be moving into the manufacturer's, like, almost doorstep there. Like south should be to the statue's right. I think that's south. So this should indicate that this is like, just giving you a time of day, that it should be south, that the sun should be south, maybe a little bit to the west. So it should be a decent enough time. It should be like 4:00 or something in the day. There should be way more people than this, especially around the manufacturer's building. There's nobody. And how about, again, we've got the flags. So almost all the flags on the buildings are moving to the right, but the flag right in front of you is moving to the left. And yeah, I get there's sometimes swirling wind patterns. Swirling wind patterns. I get that, but in every single photograph, we're getting swirling wind patterns. Like if I just Google Chicago flags, like, I don't know, Chicago flags. No, I get like, well, that's weird. I just clicked the flag of Chicago. Did you know the flag of Chicago is two blue bars with a white bar in the middle and four six-pointed stars in the middle. That's I didn't know Chicago had a flag, and the original is started in 1917. Does it tell us what that's supposed to be? The three background areas of the flag represent from top to bottom, north, west, and south sides of the city. The top blue bar is Lake Michigan and the north branch of the Chicago River. The bottom is the south branch and the Great Canal over the Chicago Portage. The light blue are called sky blue, pale blue. let's see what the four red six-pointed stars in the center are used because five-pointed stars represent sovereign states, and because the star was designed and found with no other flags as of 1917. Very odd. Now it shows that's not the original flag. There was a different flag that's on their post here, which only had two stars. And it's interesting. Oh wow, is that ever interesting? There's one here of it. I'll post this one up for you now. It was the original flag on and it's shown between two pillars. It's shown between Joachim and Boaz, right? It's shown between the Masonic pillars and with two of these stars, and those stars don't look well. They do look, I guess, a bit like the originals. But anyway, that's weird. It's got flags, Chicago. So anyway, I know we have swirling wind patterns, but again, that's just too many to ask. Again, it just seems like, I guess I'm done with the Chicago photographs. It seems like so many of the photographs are doctored. Again, look at the photo in front of you, this background. We should be seeing Lake Michigan behind us. There's no reason why some of the lake, that's because it's literally right behind, like this is right on the lakefront. Like behind you should not be like white sky. Behind you should be similar to what's in front. The water, the lake, the man-made lagoon that's in front, we should see that water pattern behind it for a while because it's just lake. It's not sky. So again, this is an obviously doctored photograph hiding background. Why do you want to hide background of the lake? What's on the lake that you don't want people to see? What kind of boats are on the lake that you don't want people to see? I mean, it's, so if we go back, I'll put it up again. So here's the moving sidewalk. So on the moving sidewalk photo, we have images of the water, but then look at the extremely flat horizon. Like, I mean, you can just see that that's like someone took a ruler and then just whited out the top of the ruler, and when you look, you can see that it's strange because the boat, or not, I guess, the boat masts on the right just don't look correctly once they make the change into the white area from the blue water. And then we go back to the picture here. Where's the water? Right? Where is the water in that image? And again, it's to then take this same photo and do a closer examination of the boats that are sailing on this lagoon lake. They look a bit odd. So I'm not trying to say like they faked a World's Fair necessarily. I'm not going to those extremes. What I'm saying is, though they've done obviously tremendous amount of doctoring to the photographs to such a degree that obviously we have to ask, well, what's going on that you need to not just show honest photographs of the fair? Like, honest photographs of the fair are just, that's proof, at least. That's proof that the fair is what you say it is. And if for some reason the fair isn't, as soon as you have, and this is a problem I've come into now, and again, same person who brought up this stuff with the Philadelphia Exposition and some of these problems in the World Fair photographs, have had me look at some hockey and baseball origin photographs, and again, there's a ton of question marks in the images. And so I'm building all of that into the narrative as we go. But I would recommend, because there's, again, if you go to that Study Love site, that Study Love World Fair site has links to every book, every available source. It's like a giant, massive, wonderful resource material. If you're interested, pop by there, open up some books for not just Chicago, open up Buffalo, open up St. Louis, open up Omaha, open up San Francisco, open up Paris, open up Milan, whatever. And do a closer look like this of some of the photographs. I mean, I think I think if you do that, you're going to find some very, very strange, things in the photographs. And again, I'm not at the point of saying it's totally faked, but then I'm also not saying that it can't be what we're being told it is, because if that's true, you would just put out the photo exactly as it is. As soon as you start retouching photographs, as soon as you start adding photographs, as soon as you start doing things like adding flags and penciling in paintings of people onto images, they're doing that to, whoever's doing that is doing it to fool people. Why do they need to fool people about the expositions? So I'm presenting all this as again, a question mark of looking, if you're looking into history, the photographic evidence is really, really important. But step one is to determine, do we have a real photograph? Like, this is a photograph that says to be taken in 1880, and at least we know it's a photograph. It's an actual photograph. Nothing has been added to it. Nothing's been taken away. Nothing's been chopped out. Nothing's been pasted in. Do we have at least an original photograph? Who knows when it's taken, but we have at least what we can say, an undoctored photo, or do we have a doctored photograph? And every time we have a doctored photograph, we have to ask, well, why do we need a doctored photograph if we have a real historical event that they are documenting the way the narrative tells us the event is? So it's another one of these, and the construction photos. Oh yeah, so I'll end there. Particularly of the 1904 St. Louis Exposition, and maybe that should be a video to do at some point in the future, the construction photos of the 1904 St. Louis Exposition are some of the weirdest construction photos out there, with obvious, the photo that has it's like these guys lifting, like a statue or something. It's obviously whatever thing it's just some guys with a tackle and pulley. And the thing that they're actually lifting has obviously been, badly, for the period of time, photoshopped in. Like it's so obvious that it's not a part of the real photograph, and yet they're passing it off as, here's the workers, building the parts of the St. Louis Exposition. I went looking for it. I can't find it, but if you search around a little bit, it's a fairly well-known photo. You will bump into it, and it's a very strange photograph. And you'll find, if you look at construction photos of the St. Louis Fair specifically, there's lots of really, really weird photos. So I just did this partially to say that the fairs are still a good. Okay, got it. Just a moment. Sorry, but I did find the image that I was talking about. So this is it here. It can be found if you're Google searching it. It would be at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch webpage. It's called "Looking Back 250: Preparing for the St. Louis World's Fair." If you're trying to Google search it to see the image yourself. But as you can see, that's a pretty obvious paste in, that the weird black stuff around the whatever it is they're lifting is kind of a giveaway. It just doesn't seem to fit the rest of the photograph. At least to my eyes, that appears to be some sort of strange paste in, one way or another, just because of, again, this sort of black, almost like a wash around the image. Those who are more photography minded will know. Anyway, there's what I wanted to share about World Fair photography. And we'll start bringing over keeping you guys updated on what's going on. The book should be ready September the 1st. I'm just in the edit stage now. Got to put in some photographs and some covers, but September 1st should be my ready date for that. And I'm going to work hard after that on Exit the Cave and have that ready, I think, in sometime around November. It's been quite a year. 2023 has been certainly busy. Lots of interviews. I'll put up a post as well coming up with a list of all the interviews that you can go and check out. There's been some some of the interviews for some reason have been really, really good. And maybe it's just because I've taken some time to just be kind of quiet and personal and just work on my crop in the garden. My mind's been a bit more clear. I don't know, but the interviews have been excellent, and the people who've been doing the interviews have also done a really, really good job, which helps when the interviewer is prepared, is interested in the material, is asking really pertinent, valuable questions. It makes it easy to discuss very challenging exit the cave type topics. So I'm also thankful for the interviewers. But I'll stop talking. I'll leave it there. I'll let you guys go looking for more photographs. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Cheers.